Okay, I'm just going to open up the door because I want to let those cats in now.
I've let them out.
Oh, well, they're just sitting here.
All of them.
Well, two of them are. They've been enjoying the discussion about trauma as well. Oh, man. Ugh. So, we're talking about trauma. I've got a special guest with me today, Snoop Dogg.
You have to find a better name for me.
What's wrong with Snoop Dogg? I like Snoop.
Because I know, but I'm not a Snoopy and I'm not a dog.
Well, neither Snoop Dogg. He's a well,
He's
he's hardly a dog. Well, wow. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, we're talking about trauma. A completely non. What is that sound? What listen to that?
Sure.
Hear it?
Is it raining?
Yeah, it's probably raining heavier than what I thought. It was a bit drizzly when I came back from work, but it seems to have picked up, so maybe that's what it is. Yeah, anyway, as we're saying, right. Welcome to the channel. We are now doing a discussion, me and Snoop Dogg,
Snoop Dogg.
about trauma. So we're getting away from martial arts, even though martial arts can be traumatic. And I have said before, I have had traumatic experiences from martial art, which has helped contribute to my PSD amongst other systemic influences. So Snoop Dogg, who's got an honours degree in criminology, which let's be honest, criminals have trauma. Goes without saying. Snoop Dogg's also working.
You have to name me different names.
Snoop Lion is doing a master's degree. Snoop Lioness is doing a master's degree in psychology, which involves aspects of trauma as well. So we're talking about trauma today, and what is trauma and trauma.
What is trauma? Basically, we're going to sort of like talk about not just the trauma, but it's the therapeutic side of helping other people with trauma. So you get the typical going into the counselling chair or like psychotherapy. But I think it's a rounded type of sort of understanding. I think it's a complex of different principles. I think from psychology as well as science, as well as science based, as well as sort of spirituality.
Are we talking about like treatments and cures for trauma?
Yeah, it's I think it's the way you kind of sort of see things of how what makes the world, what makes you, what you're kind of into, really. I think in some respects, but I'm kind of I dip my toe into a lot of things in regards to trying to help other people who have been through trauma.
So there's like a number of avenues we could go from there, like using from your own personal experience.
Really?
Or I suppose we could start from, you mentioned earlier about different ways which people can work through their trauma. And I suppose what we could start with as a baseline is trauma we know is pathological because it's in the DSM, or PTSD is in the DSM.
You can turn the camera around if you like. Not like turn it around to the camera.
Let's have it so we can get both of us, I suppose.
Hi everybody.
This is Snoop Dogg. Jesus H. Christ. Crap.
Okay.
Yeah, God.
You need to take the vitamins today.
So let's bring it up slightly. I still want to be able to kind of like, and we've got the real Snoop lions, the cats. So Snoop Dogg was talking, Snoop Lioness
I like that.
was talking about trauma and the different treatments and cures that one can experience and engage with in terms of helping alleviate their trauma. I suppose what we could start with is actually saying that trauma is not necessarily an entity in itself. Trauma is how one reacts to a given situation. And an example that I like using in terms of trauma, trying to understand trauma, is think of a dentist. Now, my brother, I know, has no issues going to the dentist. To him, it's fine. He can sit in the chair, have somebody poke about inside his mouth, and he's happy as Larry. I would personally, I'm dentophobic. I feel that if I was in a dentist chair, I would probably have a panic attack. I find that very invasive, very intrusive. So for me, my reaction to the dentist is traumatic, whereas for my brother, it's not. So that's.
But wouldn't that not be trauma? Would that be just a fear? Or is it, if something happened where it's made you feel that fear of being in a dentist?
For me, it's more that loss of control.
So it'd be a fear.
Well, when we get into fear, we then have to kind of define what fear is, because if a fear is irrational, it becomes a phobia.
Yeah.
Whereas if it is rational, it remains a fear. Whereas I suppose for me, it's the fear of losing control or being in a vulnerable position. Because for me, I can't think of anything more, pardon me, more vulnerable than being in a chair, being completely helpless, and having somebody like an authority figure basically kind of dictating or saying to you what is wrong with you. To me, that's quite. I don't like that loss of control. Is that irrational? Is it rational? Some people could say either way, but for me personally, I don't like that because I'm not in control of like my own destiny, so to speak.
So wouldn't that be the same as going to the doctors? So, because basically they've trained and everything and medical trained. Wouldn't that be the same as that? Like you're scared of somebody saying, "Oh, you've got this," because it's out of your control.
I can see what you're saying, yeah, because if you were to go to the doctor and they'll have to poke and prod you and stuff, and it's basically up to them. They can turn around and say, "Yeah, you've got cancer," and they're in that position of authority to kind of have that power over you to make that judgment. And you as a patient, you don't have that authority or that power to be able to say, "No, I don't." You can say, "No, I don't," but then it's like, well, based on what? But I just find I can stomach the doctors. I can go to the doctors, absolutely fine. But it's just the dentist just lying down and having something poke inside my mouth. It's invasive.
It's going somewhere that.
It's an
intimate. Being a woman.
But,
all the women out there who are listening, you probably understand what I'm trying to say. You know, you get doctors looking at your food and doing invasive things because they obviously is trying to prevent you from or detecting who to get like cancer or if there's cancer cells or you get like smears and stuff. It's exactly the same. It's very extremely invasive because that's only for one thing. But you know what I'm trying to say. It's like, but I can understand where you're coming from.
Well, even yourself. I mean, when
this is PC, no PG, isn't it? It's not like.
No, you can swear as much as you like. But I mean, the times when, in all seriousness, when we've gone to the doctors or the hospital, like that time we went to the hospital and you had that person or that doctor look for certain things on the scan for Warner.
Oh, when I had my blood clot.
Yeah. Even that in itself, I can imagine must have been like quite. I can empathise that you probably would have felt quite intruded, or.
I wouldn't say that I didn't feel that personally, but when I went to the hospital and had some colonoscopy, that's when I felt intruded.
So
having this person who I don't know, that's when I felt intruded because it's even though it's for a good reason and it was for a diagnosis which I I will say I didn't have, which is lucky, and it's and I will kind of sort of say it's important to do that sort of thing anyway, because just in case, you know, if you do have symptoms and things like that, it's best to sort of detect it and get it treated as soon as possible. But I was quite fortunate that that wasn't the case. But that was quite intrusive, especially being awake.
So, with that intrusive, would you say that you found that experience traumatic? Okay.
And very painful. Even though they say, oh, they sedate you, but they do just before, and then obviously they start talking. It's like a distraction technique. They'll start talking to you and talk about random things, and you can sit through yourself like relaxing. Because they'll ask about work or what did you do for a living and that kind of thing. And then, at one point, I was so much in pain. I screamed. I said, "Get out! Get out!
Oh.
Stop! Can't handle it!" And that was so like really, really painful.
I do.
And I had like gas and air. It was like, but the gas and air didn't even feel like it was doing anything. I thought,
so
that was traumatic for me.
Were you conscious?
Yeah.
Then, as that was all going on.
Yeah.
So really, the gas and air was like doing nothing.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You didn't know that. You thought I was found.
I thought you were out.
No, I was awake for the whole thing.
Oh.
And I had the screen there looking at my insides. Oh. She goes, "Oh, do you want to have a look?" And I'm like,
"No.
Why would I want to know what's inside me?"
So there.
Random question.
From Snoop, Lioness, we have.
Anyway, but that's a bit personal, but that's going on traumatic experiences.
So for Snoop Lion, that in itself was a classic example of an experience which he considered traumatic. I mean, how I myself would have probably responded in that situation. I mean, it's easy for me to say I'd have responded in a certain way because it didn't happen to me. But I'm sure if I was actually put in that situation that you found yourself in, I may well have like behaved in a very different way. But that is an example of the situation which Snoop Lioness found traumatic. So kind of going on to the coping strategies, I suppose, like how did you cope with that traumatic experience? I mean, what you said you weren't under, so what kind of kept you going through it?
The only thing that kind of sort of kept me through it was just saying to myself, this is important, this is needed, and it's not as long as you think. I think because of the sedation, you lose track of time anyway. A lot of people kind of can't remember the procedure that I did. But I said that this is really important. I needed the diagnosis. This has to be done. You know, it could be like life or death. That situation, they could have discovered something more sinister. But then if I wouldn't have gone through that, I wouldn't have known, and then not taken the steps to have treatment, if that makes sense. So what got me through it was like, this is going to end soon. And it's only for 20 minutes or whatever, how long it took. And then they're one step closer to actually have going on treatment plan, whatever they detect what's wrong with me. If that makes sense. So it's kind of like, we're going to bear it, but this is for a good cause.
I suppose that resonates because what you're saying about the fact that it's for a good cause, or it's basically for the better.
Yeah.
That sure, the treatment in itself at the moment is going to be traumatic, but you know, the end game at the end of it, it's for a good cause, which is your health.
Because it could save lives.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people have that kind of fear of the thought of that happening while they're conscious. You know, it's not a very nice thing. It's not a pleasant thing, but it can prevent a lot of problems down the road. That makes sense. It's almost like I said. I know this is like mainly guys on here, but I mean, being a female, like having a smear.
Actually, I have had an increase in female viewers, but I believe the female viewers have been watching the cat videos.
Where's the cat?
Simba.
But it's just, I mean, a lot of people have actually got a phobia against having smears and stuff. So they don't, obviously, it is invasive and it's not nice. You say they can relax and you try to relax, but you can't relax, so you have some. But anyway, I'm not going to go into detail because obviously women know what I'm talking about. But women over a certain age, of course. But yeah, it's exactly that. You know, I'd rather go through that like small amount of like discomfort than actually going like discovering I've got cancer at the end of the day, and then because it hadn't been sort of detected early on because I didn't have the smear, I'd rather know first before it's too late, if it makes sense. So it was traumatic. I mean, I'm kind of used to it now, but
I feel there are two things there which I picked up. You said one of which I have to be honest, I kind of forgot, but it was quite an important thing you mentioned. But the other one is about, I suppose, resonating about the COVID situation, where people, if you remember when we went to get our COVID jabs. Well, yes and no, but I mean, I suppose kind of like the belief that if I get this jab, it's for the greater benefit, a good cause. And I suppose what you were saying about your traumatic experience of, okay, I'm having this endoscopy. Did I pronounce it?
Colonoscopy.
Colonoscopy. It's painful. I don't like it. It's horrible. But I know ultimately it's for a good cause. Mm-hmm. And I remember, like, when I went for my first COVID jab, somewhat similarly, I remember, like, before, when I sat down and I was thinking in my head, just before I mentioned anything about Jurassic Park, I remember thinking a coping strategy I had for that traumatic moment was, this is for the benefit of other people.
Yeah.
Now I think I believe it's safe to say now it's complete bullshit.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was like the coping strategy I used, and the coping strategy which I feel got me through it was like, okay, it doesn't matter. Almost communist. It was like take the individual out of the situation, look at the wider society. And if I have this jab, it's going to help the wider society. It's for a greater good.
Yeah.
It's for a greater cause. And that for me was one of the coping strategies I had in that specific moment. Was what you're about to do is not for you, it's for other people. So I suppose what you said there, actually, it does resonate. And when you said does it make sense, it's like, actually, you know, it kind of does. Yeah, kind of, I suppose, kind of turning that into the microcosm again. What kind of effect did that have on the individual? And I suppose the question I could ask you now is, what psychological effect did that operation you had, the colonoscopy, have on you mentally? Do you have flashbacks? Do you have nightmares? Do you have a bitter taste in your mouth?
No.
So in that case,
I wouldn't want to go through the whole thing again.
would you say then that, I mean, not wanting to disrespect the experience you had, I appreciate it wasn't a pleasant experience at the time, but would you say it was traumatic? Did it leave a lasting impact?
To me, no. It was, I mean, I was quite intrigued, even though, yeah, okay, and there's not a lot of people Or there's some people that actually like watching the screen
Ew.
when the camera's inside you, and it's like, oh.
Did you enjoy watching that?
I didn't enjoy it, no. But the nurse pulled the TV round just so I could not watch anything, I couldn't look at anything else. And I was like, okay. And then she goes, oh, you did the preparation really well. And I was like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, okay. But I was quite intrigued. But it didn't sink in when I first had it anyway. It was sort of like, right, okay, I'm here, I'm having a procedure, and I'll be gone soon. And I'm going home and I'm doing my usual routine and things like that. But it was just that when it got really painful, that's when I kind of like, enough. We carried on. So.
But surely, I suppose, like, looking at medicine and the Human Rights Act, I mean, if you'd have said, like, stop, they should have stopped.
That's when they start taking the biopsies. And I saw it was like well, you know, watching that game, the mental health thing, where he was having his biopsy of his brain. It was almost like that. You can actually see that the needle going. You actually see them taking the biopsy of the speaking for a sec, isn't it? I used you talking about going to the dentist.
I've had in the past. I've had friends who've had lumbar drains, where that's the injection goes into the spine, the base of the spine, and draws fluid from.
Oh yeah. I've heard that's quite painful.
Quite. I mean, I remember like one friend in particular who had that. He said it was the most agonising experience he's ever had. I just hope that, you know, I never had that, and I hope you never had it. Lumbar drain.
But then there's traumatic. But what we were talking about earlier, in regards to like things that happen to people, especially children, between 0 to 7, I've learned that where people, like children, experience traumatic experiences between that age, then they're, if not sort of treated or directed in a different way, or kind of like counselling and stuff like that, you bring that into adulthood. So obviously, because you've had that experience of working with children in the children's home, and the experiences that they've had between that age is, because that's what I like working with children instead of like working with adults with mental health and things like that, because obviously, as you know, with children you can catch it early before they go,
nip it in the bud
before they progress into adulthood. But with so obviously with adults, working with adults are very
set in their way
and stubborn, and it's very difficult to change, because obviously you can show them the door and say, look, you know, these are the strategies and tools that I can provide you to help you. But it's that person that needs to walk through that door, or actually actively try to help themselves, because they need to help themselves as being an adult. So it's very difficult.
I suppose the challenge there, though, is from my experience, a lot of adults with mental health needs don't have the mental capacity of an adult. They've had arrested development, and
it's like with the Maslow hierarchy of needs, isn't it? If they don't have the needs that everybody should have when they're younger. And if you take, it's like attachment theory and attachment styles and stuff like that, it's going to affect them in later on, like relationships and like as they grow older. And if you don't intervene in it and try to sort of direct it in a different way, it's very.
Well, I mean,
if that makes sense.
No, that does make sense. I feel actually what you've raised is actually quite important, because look at any challenging behaviour, and any challenging behaviour which is exhibited is usually exhibited because there's an unmet need.
Yep.
And when you say that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the baseline is we have like the needs that we must have. We must have food. We have a need to eliminate like urine, feces. That's a need. We need to do that. Then it, as you very well know, I don't need to explain it to you, but the pyramid kind of like goes up and narrows. Self-actualization to the top. But if there's an unmet need, that's when you see behaviors, because that behavior is trying to get that need.
It's especially with the relationship with the mum and dad, and sort of, you know, being a mother, you kind of, you're feeding, you're breastfeeding, attention to if when they cry and things like that. That's so important. As when they're between those ages, even even younger. And if you get like an absentee parent who ignores those sort of signals from that child, or don't feed them when they need that to be fed, all that comfort and that warmth and that kind of
the nurture.
And if you starve that child of that nurture, they wouldn't know what it. When they grow older, it forms a lot of unhealthy attachments.
Maladaptive.
Which,
as we've said before, but just for the benefit of the live stream, we've spoken about narcissistic personality disorder.
Because a lot of the mental health that adult people have are unresolved.
Schizophrenia is unresolved trauma.
And it's really difficult to say this, but I mean, it hasn't been dealt with. It's really difficult if you come from like a background where a child's been raped and that kind of thing, or they've been beaten up, or that. It's horrible to think about, but it's really difficult to say. So, well, okay, so you need to accept it, but you have to have that cognitive understanding to know what actually happened to you. What is not your fault. It's your parents' fault or whoever's kind of conflicted that. But being that very young, it's very difficult to have that acceptance and to move on from it.
An added challenge as well is because, like, if you think a very young child, let's take the story I told you the other day, like the 7-year-old child who I told you about, whose mum got African men to rape him as a child. I'm going to go to the toilet in a minute and I'll go grab you another one. But then kind of like trying to explain that to somebody who's aged between 0 and 7. I mean, they've got a child's brain. Their brain is still developing. So what's happened to them? They're having a hard enough time trying to process. And because their brain is not fully formed, whereas you and I as adults, we can rationalize. We can look at a situation and
it's at different stages of development.
Yeah. So, the child's brain has not reached that. In many cases, the younger the child, they've not developed what's called theory of mind.
And the executive of the brain.
Yeah. So
cognitive function that adults have.
And they don't have that because they're children. They don't have that adult ability to analyze things as we do. So
during the live stream.
Come on, Lily, say hello. So the expectation of a child, kind of like, okay, this horrible event happened to you. It's not your fault. It's your parents. Hell, the child doesn't even know who the child is, let alone who their parents really are, let alone be able to understand, like in the case of rape, a child's not going to be able to say, my parents raped me, it's not my fault, because the child's brain's not fully developed to kind of comprehend that. And that's why, like, a lot of children display challenging behavior, because all that behavior is rooted or stems from deep-rooted trauma.
It's how they've kind of sort of coped when they were younger.
Yeah, exactly. All these behaviors are learned, and a lot of them are learned defensive mechanisms. If I behave like this,
it's always like, it's almost like sexual behavior. If when they were younger, they were sexualized. then that was the only time they got affection. But it's not the healthy getting affection. It is the unhealthy.
Yeah.
But as they grow older, they will have that in their belief system, thinking, "Oh, the only time I'm going to get affection or attention or validation is where I'm going to be sexual." Because that makes sense.
Which you think, not in all cases. This is
Not in
generally.
all cases.
Well, I was going to say like prostitution. I mean,
yeah. Well, yeah.
yeah, because, or if maybe not so much prostitution, because that
Because that could be an executive decision of somebody who wants to.
and it could be a financial decision. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of prostitutes go to their line of work for the dollar value, not necessarily because it's rooted in trauma. They just know that sex sells. But let's take maybe you've had a very long, meaningful relationship. That relationship has come to a sudden, abrupt end, and one or both partners then go and have flings, one night stands with other partners. Maybe that's trying to seek some sort of validation.
Yeah.
They're like,
It's
okay,
that comfort. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They've kind of sort of learned what they've been given when they were younger. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like, and it's kind of, I'm getting the attention, so I'm liking this attention. This is the only way I'm getting, how I've learned to get the attention.
yeah.
Not by their own fault. It's more down to what they've kind of been brought up into.
And then you think like a lot of like parental abuse could be involved in that as well, especially like if you look at these beauty pageants to children in America. But bearing that in mind, I'm going to go to a wee. I'm going to get you another Katie's.
Can get me another Katie.
We can't even see like.
I know the Lily. She's
Lily.
she's parked herself onto me.
Black cat.
You. You don't want to be in the limelight. Is that what it is? Where's Daddy gone? Daddy gone? No, he's not going to give you one. No, she's coming. No, there's Lily. She's terrible. She loves her dreamies, and every time somebody goes into the kitchen, it's like a typical cat. She wants more. But I'm trying to teach her that. I mean, dreamies. I mean, some of them are okay because they do have like vitamins and minerals and stuff like that provided into it. But it's only done as I tried to do it as a treat, or it's like having a dessert, like being a human, isn't it? So I'm like, oh yeah, have a treat. And yeah, but she is so obsessed with dreamies. I don't know if your cats are like that, but they eat all four of them. Every time I go to the cupboard, it's like, oh. And Lily's so funny because she would, when I go into the kitchen and I open the cupboard, and obviously she'll jump onto the side, and then she'll reach into the cupboard, and then she'll grab the packet into her mouth, and then she'll run onto the floor. We've woken up quite a few times having dreamies all over the floor because she's actually reached them. I was just talking about dreamies and Lily and her obsession.
Oh, she's obsessed with dreams. I've just given her some more now, to be honest.
Oh, did you?
I did.
See, that's a learned behaviour now.
It is a learned behaviour. See, I'm liking this because of the fact that like nobody's actually watching this live stream at the moment. The last 3 live streams I've done, nobody's actually watched. But I feel that this topic is like very insightful about trauma, because ultimately everybody you meet in life has gone through a traumatic event or experience,
or several.
Or several. Yeah, that's
but
true.
I always think that, honey. I'm quite philosophical. I think we do need to go through challenges. Everything's not like a fairy tale. Everything's not going to be like what I don't know.
The movies portray.
We need to learn and grow and become wiser. So a lot of people where they try to navigate around or kind of avoid the challenges or stuff like that. But you have to go. It's really difficult, but you have to go through those challenges to learn and grow and be a better person. I think if the hardship it tests us and we learn from it. It's kind of like picking out like, what have you learned from that situation? What can you do better? You know, and if now you've learned that, when it comes up again, then you kind of sort of be more wiser to approach it. Whereas if somebody that doesn't have all the challenges or have difficulties and things like that, it's different stages of that. But how would they know how to deal with certain situations and go through life without not learn and grown and became resilient? That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and
life is not peachy.
Life's not peachy. I mean, life is savage, and I appreciate what you're saying, and you know, I agree with what you're saying to a degree.
To a degree, okay, we've got a debate coming on then.
Well, yeah, because I feel that what you're saying is, I'm hearing is challenges. So there should be challenges.
Should be.
People should go through challenges because what you said, and I agree with. That's how we learn, and that's how we develop resilience. You know, we come up against obstacles, we learn the resilience, we learn to overcome those. And so bringing martial arts into it, one of the things with martial arts is that, yeah, your training could be very, very hard, but like sparring, you could be doing very hard sparring, but your resilience is teaching you to push through, perseverance. Yeah.
What your limits are.
I suppose, again, like limits. What would you describe as a resilient and a traumatic learning experience? Because, as you know, you've worked with children, I've worked with children, and some of the stories they've had.
I wasn't linking that to children. I was just speaking in general, like with challenges and stuff. We need to go through the hardships to be a better person and to be the person that if you're religious, God wants you to be, and what you kind of need to be. Makes sense. But as being a child, it's different as being a child because they don't have that cognitive sort of understanding, and it's not their fault. They're a product of their parents' mental health.
Yes.
Whereas I said, I don't know who I spoke to, but I think people. Oh no, it's your uncle actually. I said that people should be vetted even before children. But then your uncle goes, it's like a human right, you know. But
most abuse in family settings happens within that family unit. So
exactly, and the child doesn't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's always concept of stranger danger, and yeah, sure, be careful who you disclose to. But what you learn from safeguarding training, what I've learned from safeguarding training, is that anybody can abuse. I can abuse you, you can abuse me. Families abuse each other, and quite often abuse in the families goes unnoticed. I mean, it was only recently domestic abuse was seen as a crime.
Recently?
Well, historically,
historically,
yeah,
Victorian times it was like savage.
Yeah, Victorian times. If a husband beat up a wife, it was considered a domestic, and nobody got involved. Whereas now, like if a husband beat up a wife, fuck, you get the police kind of like knocking around saying like that's abuse.
I would have thought that because of women's rights.
It's human rights.
It's human rights, but it's women's rights as well. So back then, women didn't have the rights. So a lot of the time, women were seen as
not even human,
childbearers, and not really that. Yeah, like I said, not really human, so to speak. It's just sort of like married and kids, and that's what the job of the wife does. But and obviously with like work rights and things like that, that changed. So I think that the attitude towards women changed. So then, obviously, the having the equal rights as a man, we're still battling today, but obviously now it's going way the other way. Well, it's gone way too much onto the other side.
Well, that's the thing in itself, isn't it? Because when you look back at, say, like the 1920s, in the UK at least, when the suffragettes came around, and you got iconic feminist figures like Emily Pankhurst, who, if I'm correct, it was at like some horse races, she threw herself in front of a horse as like a protest. But all the suffragettes were fighting for everything that you said. It's like women are human beings, women can do jobs which men can do as well. And a classic example being World War II, when the men went off to like fight, the women went into factories to make parts. And even like my grandmother, that was one of her jobs. In World War II, she was actually working in a factory, like building parts. I think it was for like RAF planes and munitions and stuff like this. So all of this kind of was women proving that yes, we can do these works as well. And even if you look at today, women can drive. They've got the cognitive ability to drive. They've got the physical ability to drive. Women can be managers. Hell, we've even had like women prime ministers. Admittedly, like two of them were completely fucking useless, Theresa May and Liz Truss. But the fact is, you've got women who can run countries. So
be careful.
But point being is like all those challenges, which about 100 years ago, women were, as I said, they were still considered like products or property or subhuman. They've now proven 100 years later on that actually we are people as well. And then you get the certain ideology which is coming on and saying like you shouldn't be proud to be a woman or you shouldn't be proud to be a man.
Proud to be a thing that they've made up.
which is neither, or which is both, but at the same time it's not. And I look at that personally, and I feel like, why not? Because there's good and bad in a woman, there's good and bad in a man.
Yeah.
And
it's human.
It's
being human.
It's being human. Why not just embrace? Yeah, sure. It was mostly men who went off to like conquistadors in Aztec land. South America killed the Aztecs. Men mostly went off on crusades and butchered people in Jerusalem. But I was not those men. So even though men did that, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, I'm so ashamed to be a man. Likewise, like
it's like a product of the time.
Moral zeitgeist. I mean, are you ashamed to be a woman?
No.
Exactly.
I'm not proud of being a woman.
You're proud. You're a full independent woman. You're a Beyonce. So I mean, how does it feel for you then to have a certain narrative come along and say you shouldn't be proud to be a woman, or you get women come out to you and I don't want to be a woman. I want to be something else.
To be honest, with you, Sam, with that perspective, I do understand, because I'm quite a spiritual person. So if you feel like you're a different sex in your soul, in your in your soul, then fair enough. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand that, because women do fall in love with women, men fall in love with men. Or if they want to be a woman or a man, that's absolutely fine. I completely understand that point. But when they make different sort of
categories almost,
that to say that completely bypassing all the biological stuff that we learn in school, that's when things get a little bit silly.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I'm this, and I'm that, and I'm that. And I'm like, fair enough, but that I'm going to be very, very blunt here, but it's mental health. we're in a very confused, bored society at the moment. Yes, it's boredom mostly. People trying to find themselves. People are trying to find what they like and what they love and that kind of thing, and what they are and who they are. But it's kind of putting labels on all these different things that don't actually make sense.
I feel
It does not make sense.
What you mentioned, the word boredom,
Is
interesting, because if you are busy, say, I don't know, this is going to sound quite colonial, but if you're in like sub-Saharan Africa and your life and death was an everyday occurrence, and you're like, right, if I don't go out, I wake up at crack of dawn. If I don't go out to the water hole and bring back the water for the village or the family, they're going to die. So you're so preoccupied with living, you're so preoccupied with helping other people live, you don't have time to sit down and kind of think, you know what, I don't want to be a man. You know what, I think it's sick being a woman. I want to be something different. You don't have time to think about that. You're so busy trying to survive. So what you said about boredom, it's almost, again, like a very westernized liberal construct. You're like, you know what, I live in this amazing house. I've got 24/7 internet connectivity. I've got hot water all the time. I can have Mondays, I can have chicken. Tuesdays, I can have pork. Wednesdays, I can have beef. You've got all these luxuries, and then you're like, you know what, I feel bad about myself, so I want to be a bit radical. I'm going to say to myself, I don't want to be a man. Fuck men. I don't want to be a woman. I'm going to be something different. So yeah, in a way, it is a social construct. I mean, I feel that what you said about mental illness, it comes from somewhere. That there's some dissonance inside oneself for them to feel and believe this, and maybe convince themselves. So
being a typical woman and birth.
Well,
the natural thing.
Person
comes out.
Whoa.
Lily
agrees. But point being is, like, I personally, I feel that when I was younger, and as you know, my personal history, I did have liaisons with men. But
and I've liaisons with women.
And you've had liaisons with women. I'm not physically attracted to men anymore, but I still acknowledge masculinity, and there's still parts of masculinity which I think, yes, I respect. Likewise, I mean, I think women are beautiful. I really do, by their very nature. And I feel that maybe if you get a woman who's kind of like, I'm ashamed of my femininity, I want to be something else. It's like, that's a beauty which has been given to you, not by God necessarily, but by nature. Women, I think, naturally are very beautiful. And you're shunning that to embrace a social construct which is very confused, maybe rooted in trauma itself. And then I'd like to say, actually, what has happened? I'd like to know your life. I'd like to know what's happened to you in your life for you to come to these conclusions.
And I think, to be honest, social pressures and media doesn't help.
No, it really. No, seriously. It's like things like 50 Shades of Grey, and I was saying this to Mum. Like, I find 50 Shades of Grey very detrimental to both women and men. Because for women, it's like, if you have sex and you don't have like 110 orgasms or whatever that lady had, you failed as a woman. But then if you're yeah, she was having like orgasm after orgasm. But then as a man,
when it's done right.
But then as a man, it's like, if you're not like a multi-billionaire by the time you're 22, you failed as a man. And I find it both very unrealistic and detrimental to both. And then that makes people depressed. Because as a woman reading that, you're probably thinking, oh, well, I'm not able to orgasm, or I have vulvodynia, which is extreme pain when you have an orgasm. And like, there's something wrong with me. And then as a man, you're like, well, I'm 29, and you know, I've got like £5 in my bank account. I have no savings. I failed as a man. Because fucking 50 Shades of Grey says I failed. Because Mr. Grey, who's like 19, has trillions of dollars.
It's very fucked up though, because he had a lot of sexualized trauma. That's why
He took it out
he
on
took it
Anastasia.
out on, yeah. But that's the way that he was.
But even their names, it wasn't Lucy and Bob. No, seriously. It was Anastasia, like this fancy name. I mean, he was Christian, this sophisticated name. Look at World War One. Most people in the trenches in World War One were called stuff like Gavin, Darren, working class names. No, he's Christian. She's Anastasia. Fuck that. If I was to write that book, I'd call it Sue and Steve.
What is your big thing about against 50 Shades of Grey?
I feel
because it is dramatized and it's very sort of fantasy.
It's fan fiction, yeah.
Fan fiction.
I feel because it sets unrealistic expectations. I mean, having worked in the BDSM profession myself, it's not glitz and glam. If anything,
No.
What I learned from BDSM, and I'm being serious here, is it's a very lonely world. You get people out there. I have clients come to me who are married. They've been married for a very long time, and they had these kinks and fetishes. And I used to say to them, "Have you shared this with your wife, or have you even talked to your wife about this?" I was like, "No, she'd be disgusted." And the general feeling I got was that they were very, very lonely. They had these things which they felt that if they disclosed to their wives would hate them, or their wives would be repulsed. And maybe they could have been, but at the same time, it was like, you never know.
I've just realised that's wait. I just realised. I know. I've found this out when we first met, but that's where your control issues are coming from.
No, my control issues come from my taekwondo abuse, which is weird because my taekwondo instructor who abused me, I developed a subconscious hatred of authority figures, which is weird.
Is that where it happened?
What happened?
Was that before the dominatrix, or was that after?
That was before.
Exactly. So that's where that came out into its form.
I feel when I did my domination stuff, I did it because I found it funny.
Yeah, but I think there's a deeper. Sorry, guys, we're going into a very deep conversation.
No, nobody's watching.
They'll probably be watching later. Like,
yes,
oh.
I was a professional dominator.
But no, I can understand that now because you said that it was before that, and you had problems with authority. Then you wanted to be in control. So you say it was funny, but deep rooted, it was more down to the fact that you felt that you were back in control. That was your control thing.
I feel because no,
and the fact that he doesn't like not being controlled, but he's drinking loads of booze, so
I control my booze intake. Even though, admit it was a choice between San Miguel and Budweiser, and I was like, well, Budweiser's just like flavored water.
I got San Miguel.
You got San Miguel, and I bought San Miguel, and I thought that was Japanese at first, but it's not.
No, what did you buy San Miguel?
I got San Miguel early. It was San Miguel or Budweiser, and I was like, I'm not having Budweiser.
Do you know what? I was thinking exactly the same thing when I was in co-op. I was like, oh, San Miguel. I haven't had San Miguel for a while. And I was looking at the Budweiser thinking, it's a bit watery. So.
I mean, Budweiser, you know that Budweiser's not going to give you... I'm going for a run tomorrow morning as well, so I'm going to feel it. Budweiser doesn't give you a hangover, but it's just like, if you want to get drunk, don't go for Budweiser.
Flavoured water.
Flavoured water. America, with all due respect to Americans, because like Robert Carflang, who's like a subscriber to my channel, he commented beforehand. He was like, "Oh, I'm going to come on the live stream, and he's not here." Robert, where the fuck are you?
Where is everybody?
Yeah, I mean, so this isn't the worst channel on YouTube.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter because this is our catharsis.
It's our catharsis, and if you don't know what catharsis is, go onto Google and look at type in catharsis to see what it is. In the meantime, me and Snoop Lioness are having a nice detailed conversation about trauma, which you guys are missing out because you've probably got trauma as well. You need to look at this live stream and go, fuck, there's Gemini-TKD Sam and Snoop Lioness talking about trauma.
What I will say, because I want to start my own business.
She does as well.
She does as well. I do.
I'm going to make my business.
With all the knowledge that I've accumulated through my degree, and with all the stuff that I've learned about
psychiatry and mental health.
And it's also with spirituality and science. This is science-based, I will say, and it's been proven. I would like to. The thing is, though, because I kind of want to go through the process myself first, and then that's when you kind of just help other people.
What kind of process?
Dealing with my own stuff first, because you can't help people fully unless you've kind of understood your own trauma and gone through the process yourself.
But when you say help, I mean that's quite subjective. Help in what way? I mean, help can be.
But you can say, okay, fair enough. I know I can see where you're coming from, because I mean, you can still help a person where you still haven't gone through that process yourself.
You're trying to help people. You don't know the difference between your foot and your leg.
I do.
No, I mean, I get
my feet.
I get what you're saying.
You kind of because then you've got that more insightful sort of knowledge to sort of like, oh, actually it's proven and it's actually worked for yourself. So you kind of like then, okay, it's helped for me. Okay, everybody's different and it won't necessarily help for every single person, but it's a proven strategy to help with people. If that makes sense. Coming from somebody.
Yeah. No.
I mean, to be honest with you, Sam. I mean, I've been through a hell of a lot of grief and a hell of a lot of loss. You know, and I'm still navigating through the whole process of that, and I'm still finding a way, trying to sort of the acceptance and trying to kind of release of that. But if I'm trying to, it's very difficult when you've got your own problems and then you kind of trying to help other people. You don't have that clarity. Does that make sense? You don't have that kind of like, right, okay, so I've got more energy I've helped myself, so then I can, what I've used on myself, I can help other people.
What I'd say, I hear what you're saying.
But,
however, I'm saying this with like your best interest at heart. The danger there, and not just you personally, but I suppose, I mean, I've heard it before. People have said like, I've experienced trauma and I want to help people, and that's noble in itself. You know, in this day and age, people are very.
I understand that. Yeah.
People are very narcissistic. People are very individualistic, self-obsessed, egocentric. So when you get somebody who wants to help, pardon me, when you get people who want to help other people, it's very rare. However, the risk there is putting your own trauma onto somebody else.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm trying to say. Because if you've dealt with your own trauma, you're not putting it on somebody else.
Would you say, in complete honesty, that you've dealt with your trauma? Or you've come to terms with your trauma?
I'm dealing with it. So it's navigating it, because trauma causes triggers. So if there's certain things that actually triggers that trauma and how it makes you feel when you have that trauma, it's how you react to it and sort of how it's how you deal with it. So it's almost like learning the strategies that you're preaching. Because you can't preach something that is not tested.
Well, of course not. But then the two things there is, bearing in mind what may work for you
won't work with everybody else.
Agreed. But then also you run the risk of kind of making somebody else's trauma about you.
No.
Because then if there's somebody
why wouldn't it be about me if I've dealt with my trauma?
Well, you could be of a client or a service user who's going through or gone through a similar trauma to yourself. And then if you say, yeah, I understand how you feel because I've gone through the same thing.
Are you trying to preach it?
Yeah.
You're trying to preach, it's worked for me, so,
yeah.
So it should work for you.
Yeah, nail on the head. seriously, you nail on the head. And that is the thing that, like, I understand the intent is there, the positive intent is there, and I get that and I appreciate that. But it's like, you know what? It's never about you. When you want to help somebody else, it's always about them. It's sure, you have your trauma, I have my trauma, but I feel the mistake is in, like, if somebody says to you, oh, you know, I've been through this, and if it's very similar to what you've been through, the mistake that we make as helpers is, I know how you feel because I've been there myself. And then you've turned it about them onto yourself.
Yeah, but what about, like, using the tools that sort of, okay, you can provide those tools and strategies to help that person coming from somebody who's actually experienced it. And obviously if that doesn't work, then obviously it's going to be more person-centered.
Then you run the risk of
Then you run the risk.
You run the risk of becoming overly emotionally involved.
You won't be emotionally involved because you've got to learn how to deal with those emotions yourself. Why? Because why would you want to sort? I mean, okay. I mean, helping people. I mean, it's very rare. A lot of people don't want to help other people because there's a lot of people that are self-obsessed. They're in their own realities. They're in their own routines. They don't kind of like look outside where their life is sometimes because it's their comfort. It's their kind of sort of like bubble. So you're saying somebody that's still going through and trying to navigate through trauma can still help somebody.
Anyone can help anybody, but
I know, but having proven, I know everybody's different, but I see where you're coming from.
I'd just say it's risky business until you know exactly what you're doing, because something could resonate in yourself and somebody could...
That would be dealt with. Or not dealt with, but that can be, you learn how to not react to it. It's like a skill.
Consciously, yes, but what about subconsciously? Because, for instance...
So then you've dealt with it. So why subconscious? Why would it affect your subconscious?
How would you define that you've dealt with it? How would you know that you've fully dealt with that?
You move on and you begin a different life. And you're not triggered by the things that used to trigger you. It's just offering that kind of sort of advice on learning your own triggers and how to deal with it. You've got that thinking back.
I have.
But that's the way that I come across. You know, you have to deal with yourself. Then, but I think I can see where you're coming from because you're helping other people and it's making a difference, but you still got your own issues. If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course, because like
we can still help somebody. me and get providing the tools and the strategies and whatever.
I'm glad.
If you're going through something yourself, I can understand that. And yeah, so I can see that. But I think it's more for clarity of when somebody's actually learned those skills and learned those sort of strategies themselves. And okay, not one fits all, which I completely understand. It's very person centered.
I feel that is the underlying crux, isn't it? It's kind of like not everybody is a size 5 foot. Wow. But I'll just bring all your.
Yeah, because you've got yours.
Oh no. Trauma. On
Oh, honey.
Yeah. I'll throw it out the window at half the hoovers.
Don't. See, that's your point of anger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Nothing against them. We don't even know them. Anyway, guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. It is very deep and it's something that me and Sam kind of do off camera quite a lot. To be quite honest, we're very, we're big helpers, and I love learning. I love reading books and stuff like that. I was just talking to you.
Who are you talking to?
Your people.
There's nobody here. Where's Rob?
It doesn't even matter. What? Did you say Rob was there?
No, Robert was here. He left a comment. Oh, I'll sit down. I need your toilet now.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
We're having fun. That's the main thing.
Well, exactly. And if anybody wants to sort of like our kind of conversations or want to get involved in those conversations, who want to have like a healthy debate or something, then feel free. You know, it's a friendly environment, and you know, it's a lot of things that people don't necessarily think about so much because they've got a lot of responsibilities and or their passions somewhere else. So feel free to disagree, and then we can have a healthy debate on subjects like this, because it's really important. It's really important. It's forgotten a lot of the time. But then there are professionals that actually do know what they're talking about. So I can't say much. I mean, I need to finish my masters and stuff, but I'm very interested in reading lots of books about proven strategies and things like that. I can hear clang, clang, clang. Where's the cat?
Oh, they're around about. They're fine. What are we talking about?
You can talk about something else if you'd like.
Well, we talked about trauma ad nauseum. I feel a lot of my subscribers probably don't really appreciate trauma.
No, I probably.
I
think it's more down to I don't know, but you like talking about stuff politically and psychologically linked. Everything's all linked.
We've got a viewer. Look, one.
I want a viewer, but you do. But the thing is, when you do that, then they'll go. So
because oh look, he fucked off.
Exactly.
Because he gets scared, whoever it is. I don't know. I feel what I've learned from trauma is that everybody has trauma to a degree.
Yeah.
Whether it's acknowledged or not. But I mean, trauma's always there. It's in everything. And everybody you meet in life, they've loved something, they're afraid of something, and they've lost something. And there's inevitably going to be some trauma involved in that. And it's part of life, I suppose. You know, it's very rare you're going to meet somebody who doesn't have trauma to some sort of degree, whether it's a physical trauma or trauma of the mind. Whoa, fuck, what are you doing? You're blowing smoke in my face.
I didn't mean to.
What do you mean you don't mean? You just, oh, he's next to me. I suppose like just ending with trauma subjects on a positive, you know. You can come to terms with your trauma. You can come to accept it. It's like, I'm not going to lie and say you're going to overcome it, but you can be at peace with your trauma. You can understand and acknowledge that, yes, this is a situation that's happened to me. Yes, this is how it's made me feel. This is how it'll probably always make me feel.
That's sorry to interject.
Go for it.
The conversation that we had the other day was, I'm reading this really good book about clearing out. And what that means is clearing out of
The closet.
Clearing out like negative emotions and like trauma or like bad experiences and stuff like that. What I've learned, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got the left side of the brain that deals with emotions, and you've got the right.
I thought that was the right side of the brain.
Not the
Right side of the brain is.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Right is your emotions, and left is not.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the analytical, and you've got the critical. You've got thinking side of the brain that kind of like tries to justify everything, and you've got the other side of the brain, which is about feelings and how you know that's where the trauma kind of portrays itself. So a lot of people that experience bad situations, they've gone through that bad sort of experiences. Then why are you laughing?
Because of this song, it's "Jump Around" by House of Pain. There's a story behind this song.
But anyway, but a lot of people are not necessarily connected to their emotions as such. They don't sort of go through the process of learning why they're feeling that way, and they're very disconnected. And I just want to try because I've just had to. I have no idea. I don't know what I was going to say. What I was talking to you earlier.
Maybe people are like overly connected to their emotions.
No, they're not connected to the emotions. Like
it all comes down to interpretation, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is that where does substance abuse come from? Where does like alcoholism like try to numb those?
Escapism. Escapism.
From what?
From life.
From what?
From right, fine.
From what? From life. So no.
From life. Think of it.
No. From what?
I'm trying to explain. And
escapism from what? What
from life.
Yeah, but what I just tried to say, left and right. So you've got the emotional, and you've got the thinkable, and you've got your ego, which causes a lot of problems. So
the ego keeps things in check.
No, it doesn't.
It's
not
the
always.
super ego and the id which causes trouble.
It's distorted.
Says who?
Says a lot of
the super ego.
A lot of people have actually learned about, and yeah. Anyway,
go on. Okay, I won't interrupt. Go for it.
No, because what I was trying to say, because like a lot of people escape from what?
The
internally.
The reality of their situation.
Yeah, and
life in general. And their emotions.
Yes.
Yes.
So if you feel really bad or anxious about something, and if you're depressed about something, it's all about emotions, isn't it? Or how something made you feel. Is that correct?
Which comes down to that if you're going to take a Sigmund Freud psychodynamic approach, is interpretation.
Yes,
it's how one interprets a situation.
Yeah, but how you're feeling. Don't put as many words to it. But how somebody makes you feel, or how you are feeling as like a depression and things like that. So how
pretty shit.
Yeah, pretty shit. Pretty down in the dumps, pretty fucking like suicidal. Fucking like fuck this. Blah, 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 I need Okay, so
I was suicidal.
I know you. I'm trying to establish something.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Feelings.
Okay. Yes.
A lot of people are detached from that. So, what do we do when we're pissed off?
We get angry.
And what do a lot of people do?
We adapt maladaptive coping strategies.
Yeah. But what else? What something that you can't really control is always there. You're having nightmares. It's affecting your life. What do people do? What some people do, not all people.
Kill themselves.
No. You've worked with people. You are working with people the same way.
But there's a number of things they do.
What's this?
They take this maladaptive coping strategies.
Okay, no. Okay. So drinking,
drugs.
And what are they trying to do?
They're trying to. I'm trying to formulate this into words. They're trying to numb their situation.
No, not situation, but how they are feeling.
And their feelings, which come into the situation.
It's not and their feelings, it's how that situation is making them feel.
But what situation?
Sorry. Say
drug philosophy.
No, it's basically like, okay, so you've had a massive breakup, you've fallen in love with this guy, woman.
Oh, fuck no.
Woman, and you're feeling shit. So painful. It's like, oh my god, I thought this person was like.
We've all been there.
Exactly. Okay. So I'm trying to use that example. So.
Okay.
So fuck my life. That person doesn't like me. Something wrong about me, and that pain that you'll carry. Okay, fair enough. Listen to me.
I'm listening to you.
Okay, so you're feeling that. It's a feeling, isn't it? It starts with a feeling. Your thoughts comes afterwards. So you're feeling that hurt and pain and that shit, distraughtness. God,
you feel like
heartbroken.
They've ripped the heart out of you and they've thrown it on the floor and they've stamped on it repeatedly.
You feel it.
Yes.
Feel that.
You feel, yes. Let's go into person-centered therapies. You feel. How does that make you feel? You feel like shit. How do you define shit? It's like just the lowest of the low. It's like some dump which has been taken, some organic dump which has been put on the sidewalk.
Exactly.
And smeared.
Get it out. That's how you feel.
Fuck. you smeared it over pavement, then you put somebody's face in it and rubbed it back and forth.
It sounds like you've been here quite a few times.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a bit too loud. It was a bit over enthusiastic. Where were we going with this?
But you feel it, okay? So that's the first thing that happens, is that how you feel it, yeah?
Hold on.
You agree with that?
Hold on, I'm looking at this from a CBT perspective.
Shush!
No, I'm being serious.
No, you feel it.
I feel. Okay, from
CBT.
Thoughts, feelings, behaviours. Behaviours.
Well, kind of.
Yes, because your thoughts affect your feelings, which in turn affect your behaviours. So what you feel, you'll behave.
It's feelings and it's thoughts. You try to justify or you try to understand are the thoughts that comes afterwards.
Aaron Beck would think otherwise. But
then I'm not talking about Aaron Beck. I'm talking about.
Yes, you are. Because Aaron Beck made the CBT model.
No, but it's the thoughts. So feelings.
No. Thoughts. No. Feelings. Behaviour.
No. It's feelings, thoughts, and behaviour.
No, because the CBT model is based on thoughts, feelings, behaviours. Your thoughts.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. It's how you feel. That feeling.
Okay, Carl Rogers.
No, shush. Right. Sorry, guys. I'm having a bit of a domestic.
Oh, they don't care.
It's never that. But no.
I'm sure Robert's not going to understand or appreciate.
How it makes you feel, makes you think, and that makes you behave and how you react. Because you're trying to justify how you're feeling that way, and then also that that causes the behaviour, because it's causing a lot of like the if there's triggers and stuff like that, that's going to make you how you feel back to where you were before. So you always trying to like put things into boxes and try to sort of like label things. That's what we do. We try to protect ourselves from feeling that way. It's not. It's feelings. You get that feeling.
Yeah.
If I hurt you, how do you feel? What do you think?
I feel violated.
You feel violated, and then you think.
No. What I think when you're doing, I'm thinking, what the fuck are you doing? Then the feeling is I feel violated.
No, don't change it.
No, I'm not changing. I'm being honest.
What's the first thing? Okay, what's the first thing that somebody breaks your heart? What do you feel? What comes first, feeling or thought?
Thought.
No.
When.
What do you feel first? What comes first? That pain in the heart comes first. Then the thought.
You're assuming the
no, because that's how the soul works.
When my first love broke up with me, my first thought was, "What have I done?" Then my feeling.
Did you not feel hurt? Did you not feel like your heart's been taken from you?
No, because my.
Did you feel really like I can't breathe, I can't do anything?
I initially went to my thought, which is what have I done? Then, admittedly, my feeling came next, which was I feel like complete crud. And then my behaviour then came following that, which was I'm gonna turn that upside down. I'm gonna throw this. But my behaviours were reflective.
This is where you're not connected. Sorry, can't speak. Not connected to your feelings.
Robert, where are you?
It's your feelings. Then thought. Then it's behaviour.
But the CBT model is thoughts, feelings,
always, when I've gone through, when all my grief, it's always about feeling. The feeling, how it's made me feel. So if somebody hurts me, also, if like my mum, when my mum passed away, it wasn't the thought of that. It was the fact that it hurt me so much, how it impacted me first. Then it was the thought, trying to justify or try to understand it. That's when the behaviour happens, because anything that makes me feel that way is going to cause that behaviour.
So we're in acceptance. The behaviour comes last.
Behaviour comes last, yeah, because that's the behaviour. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the feeling of being hurt. But the thing is that I think it's because we don't
think, feel.
Don't necessarily understand that feeling until we've thought about it. If that makes sense.
I appreciate.
You don't understand the thought of that feeling unless you think about it.
So what I'm hearing and what I'm feeling is that you're mutating the CBT model into a person-centered.
Mutating.
That's the wording. That's.
Right, where's my book?
Oh my god! You've turned CBT into a Carl Rogers humanistic person-centered therapeutic model of
it's
feelings.
All in there.
Ah!
Right. Okay.
Don't flash at my face.
If I wanted to sort of reference what I'm trying to say, it's all in there.
Most people who are going to watch this later on have probably no fucking idea.
John Rascan.
Most people don't.
Probably emotional clearing. It's all in there, and it makes perfect sense.
Okay, guy Robert. Robert. Do you believe that thoughts affect your feelings, which then in turn affect your behaviors, or do you believe that feelings affect your thoughts, which in turn affect your behavior?
You can't think when you've been hurt. You can't think. You cannot think when you've been hurt. You can't think. Then you think.
Granted.
Then you try.
Okay.
Exactly. So, and then you try to understand it. So that's where the thinking comes involved. And then when things happen, similar to how that makes you feel, you behave.
Okay, so let's say you're walking down a street. Why are you laughing? I'm not even going to do the best bit yet.
Oh, Slimmer, come and help me.
You're walking down a street and you see like a motorcyclist who's been hit Simba, down in front.
I mean, how do you? I mean,
You've seen a motorcyclist who's been hit by a car.
what's the first thing you think?
What
first thing you?
What's
what
the first
happens?
thing that happens to you? It's your thought.
Ow, that hurts.
No, it's your thought. It's
No,
like shit.
The feeling,
What the fuck?
the feeling of somebody hitting you is the first thing that comes first. Then your thought.
No, my first thought was poor
If I go like
guy.
that,
I was, why have you done that?
and how does that? Yeah, but did that hurt you?
No,
But what did you feel first before you thought it?
was a stimulus. Why are you laughing? It was a stimulus. Okay, something has hit my arm.
Yeah. So yeah.
That's
So
a.
that's a feeling.
But
That's a feeling.
that's a
If I go like that, if like.
That's a physiological feeling. It's not an emotional feeling.
I'm trying to.
Take this. Look. Okay. See, that's a physiological feeling. It was
Yeah,
me.
but it hurt. Yeah. Hurt. Ow. Why did you do that?
But then you're not thinking with your heart, are you? Your heart is like, Sam poked me because he doesn't like me. It was a physical stimulus.
Distorted. Your brain is distorted. Well, not your brain.
My brain.
Brains in general.
Yeah, I mean, my brain's.
They do distort things because of how you're feeling.
Where's Simba?
Feelings overcome some.
Where's your evidence? Where's your references? Where's your
Right,
studies
okay.
to back up your claim to take on Aaron Beck and his CBT model?
That did clearly, right?
Has he challenged Aaron Beck?
No,
Does he mention Aaron Beck?
because it links to. If you feel shit, you're gonna start thinking about like negative. I mean, a lot of people do think about negative because we're negative people, so we're gonna think.
Humans
about
are negative.
Okay, so but what caused that negative feeling?
It's built within our genetic genome.
What caused that negative thought?
This
Yeah. Ow.
is a
That
stimulus. Is a stimulus, which creates a negative thought.
Internally, if somebody breaks your heart, what do you feel?
Shit.
Exactly. What hurts
Everything.
first?
My mind.
No, it's not your mind.
No.
It's your heart.
When my first love broke, I'm gonna from my personal experience. When my first love, why are you laughing? I'm trying to tell you about something really deep-rooted emotional in me, which I've never talked about before. When my first love broke up with me, the first thing that I felt was, "What have I done?" It was.
No, that is a cognitive thought.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a cognitive thought.
Yes, it was cognitive.
But what affected you first?
My thoughts.
No, it wasn't your thought. It was the feeling of that person.
You weren't there in that moment when my first love broke up with me. The first thing I said was, "What have I done?"
In the moment, before thinking, what happened? Even before saying what did I do? Right?
Don't make me relive my trauma. You're meant to be on my side. What are you doing?
It's thought, and feelings.
No.
Feelings,
Thoughts. Yes.
and
Yes.
behaviour.
Yes. Thoughts, feelings, behavior.
No, feeling, thought.
Then why
behaviour.
isn't that documented? Why is CBT based on thoughts, feelings, behaviors? Why is it not feelings, thoughts, behaviors? Where's that come from?
Where thought? Where does the thought come from?
Your brain. Because your brain, you're looking at something, you're analysing something in your brain, whether it's right or
where
wrong.
does that come from? Why do you think that? Where does that come from? What like,
The stimulus.
stimulus of what?
The event.
Yeah, and the event that caused feeling,
Oh.
the thought, all stems with feeling. You feel the energy, the negative energy, or whatever happened to you, and then you think.
So you feel that the CBT model, this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm interpreting from this discourse. The CBT model is flawed because instead of being thought, feeling, behavior, it should be feeling, thought, behavior.
Yes.
Okay, Google, play From the Underground and Below album by Overkill. No, I still.
How you feel But even like it's capitalized. Feel works. The point of feel work. That's the starting point of feel work. We start with the premises that feelings that have accumulated and become trapped inside are the primary cause of psychological distress and outer conflict.
Pony by
See,
Gen 1.
right, guys, right. I've got this in print. Okay, so the condition is based on the problem which we are faced and starting point of field work. We start with the premises that feelings that accumulated and become trapped inside are a primary cause of our psychological, which is our cognitive function, distress and outer conflict. As you resolve those feelings, the outer starts to change the outer starts to change spontaneously and miraculously in accordance with which space for you. There is no need to struggle to bring what you consider to be positive in your life. I have seen this happen countless of times in myself and my favourite time I can read this. Negative feelings is trying to change outer circumstances. They try to manipulate things around us in order to feel better. This is an instinctive and not an unreasonable response. If we're hungry, we look for food. So what you're saying, that when you're hungry, you think that you're hungry. What comes first?
Before. No, it's before.
It's not.
Oh.
What am I saying? So when you feel hungry, what do you feel in your body? It's the thought that, like,
it's I'm hungry.
No,
it's the
oh
thought.
my God,
I think I. Oh.
So where does that thought come from?
I don't know. I'm not a fucking brain surgeon or anything. It just comes into your mind, doesn't it?
But what makes you feel like you're hungry? Is it because you got hunger pains?
Why don't you ask, like...
Oh.
Why don't you ask Aaron Beck, say, where does this come from? So what? Essentially,
I'm trying to say.
What are you saying? Is that before...
Hunger pains. So do you have hunger pains?
No. It comes from my mind. It's like, you know what?
It doesn't come from your mind.
Okay. Look at this beer can.
It's a feeling that you get.
Look at this San Miguel beer can. Look at it.
Okay. Another thing. Sorry, no. If you're exhausted.
If I'm
really
exhausted. Yeah, really exhausted.
What tells you you're exhausted?
My mind, thoughts, my cognitions.
You're completely detached from
You're saying I'm detached from reality?
No, from your body.
How am I detached from my body? What gives you the right to say that? That's quite traumatic, actually. You know, I'm detached.
What comes first? Like, what makes you think that you're knackered?
Are you going to say that I'm schizophrenic next? I've got schizoaffective disorder or something.
What makes you think you're knackered? What makes you think you're
knackered? My brain. Why can't you accept that? It's my brain that tells me I'm exhausted.
So if you're achy, what is that? If you're achy, you're like no energy. Okay, where does that come from?
Physiological.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is physical. Which is connected to cognition. My brain is saying to me, my body is relaying to my brain, I'm exhausted.
Okay, so when you break somebody's breaking apart, if somebody really like really angry, really made you feel shit, and really like made you feel like
I want you to just kill someone.
Exactly. Where does that come from?
I don't want to kill someone.
Where does that come from?
My brain.
No!
Why can't you accept that?
Where do feelings come from?
Ultimately, the brain.
Ultimately, the brain, but where do you feel them?
All over the body.
Exactly. So,
including the brain. Because it's your brain that's telling you this kind of crap.
Yes, I know, but where does your heart come from?
That's connected to your brain. I'm being serious. It is physiologically your heart is connected to your brain.
To your brain, but I mean, like, okay, spiritually, if you feel
Spiritual. Okay. So,
no. If you feel really, really like if you're having this pain, like really in your heart, you feel like you can't breathe, you can't eat, you can't do anything. Where does that come from?
your brain. Well, because my brain is telling me that I cannot eat, I cannot breathe, I cannot do anything. It's my brain which is telling the rest of my body. It is.
So you don't listen to your heart. You don't listen to like things like that.
Literally speaking, your heart is essentially
Attached to your brain.
It is attached to your brain, but essentially your heart is just a pump which is pumping.
No, it's not just
all your heart is just a pump which is pumping blood around your body, and it's taking deoxygenated blood from the rest of your body into your heart.
It's not always your brain, you know.
So if you took your brain out of the equation, what then? What are you trying to say? Your brain is able to rationalize.
You rationalize, that's thinking.
It's able to assess. And
That's thinking.
That's thinking. That's cognition.
Cognition, yeah.
Okay, so if you took your brain, say, I don't know, in the mental health institute, like the game we were watching the other day, you did a brain lobotomy of.
Like,
Why?
you gotta, how big is this brain? Brain.
You take a brain out of somebody, they're going to be brain dead, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's going to happen then? You take a brain out of somebody. Honest question, what's going to happen?
They have spasms in their body and they still feel.
But feelings are essentially your brain in.
What is wrong with you?
What's wrong with me? Plenty. Yeah, thank you for raising. Thank you for reminding me. You know.
Say that.
No, but
I think because no.
You think or you feel. See, you're so obsessed with feelings, and you disregard the brain. You don't like the brain
because I'm very spiritual, and it's the soul.
It's the
the
soul.
main soul. You don't have to have a brain to active the soul.
So what is the soul? No study has shown what a soul is.
They have.
Name me the person who did the study.
Oh, right, okay, I'm gonna Google.
Yeah,
it.
you Google it. You Google. You Googler.
You feel. You think.
So maybe you should go to like the CBT Institute and say, actually, I don't.
That's where trauma comes from, because like.
What CBT? CBT therapy is causing people trauma.
No, because it's the feeling that you get that makes you think about that feeling. So if you feel bad about stuff, you're going to try and rationalize it, and then you're going to try, and then things will go back to that feeling, and then you're going to have that bad behavior.
But do you know that as a fact, or is that speculation?
It's proven. It's scientifically proven, and I'm going.
Well, I'm going to go and get myself another.
I need a wee.
You need a wee. I need a wee. I'm going to get myself another beer.
Sorry, guys. This is quite funny.
Oh.
If you have any thoughts.
We actually had two people viewing that as we were having that debate. We were like, what the fuck is no. I'd rather have a live stream like this, because this is like in depth. Hello.
Hi guys, I'm just gonna pop out for a minute, but I'm still here.
Do, 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 do. Ooh. Whoa. Okay, Google. Play Rude Awakening by Megadeth. Okay, Google. Play She-Wolf live by Megadeth. Okay, Google. Skip. Okay, Google. Play songs by Soundgarden.
Someone feeling depressed might find that going for a walk, even if they don't feel like it, can improve their mood. Emotional regulation. Sometimes people consciously or unconsciously modify their behavior.
I thought I'd put on some Chris Cornell. It kind of beats the Cisco systems and people.
Hello, people.
Yeah, so what we were talking about, who do you think actually was like later on going to watch this live stream and like watch it all the way through and be like, oh my God, they're talking about trauma, they're talking about CBT, they're talking about like person-centered therapies. See, this is the thing, guys. It's like me and Snoop Lioness. Whenever we have conversations, it's pretty much this. Just like every single day, every single night, we talk about like therapy, we talk about psychiatry, we talk about mental health, we talk about pathology, psychiatry, psychology. We don't have normal conversations. We don't talk about like, I don't know, Mo Salah getting a red card or anything like that. Do we?
No.
No.
Quite deep.
But most normal we get is actually about us moving, or the cats need food, or litter tray, which I need to get tomorrow.
Yeah, adulting.
Yeah. Let's just be kids for the night. You know, we've been adults for so long, and I remember when I was a kid, people said like, just embrace the fact that you're a kid, and I was like, no, I want to grow up, and they're like, no, just enjoy yourself being a kid. I miss those days. I miss Dubai. I never go back there, but I miss it. Why are you looking at black screen?
How many since behaviour first sort of feelings and perception? It's completely like put a spanner in the works there.
Okay, so who says that?
Thoughts, feelings, and perceptions follow.
No, because your behaviours must be influenced by something.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to read it.
Who said that? Dave. No, it was Dave. I saw it.
Andrew.
No. Go
Andrew, up.
Dave Hedges. Well, Dave Hedges, if you're watching this, which you're probably not, I think you're a douchebag. And that's coming from somebody who has a degree. You probably don't have a degree. You probably just have like STDs and a GCSE. Dave Hedges. Imagine if somebody came into a live stream right now and they just saw us like this, so proving what the hell was going on.
Do you believe in soul? Like basically,
Not
higher self that A higher self of yourself.
Not as a coherent entity.
So with Buddhism,
Mm.
they portray that your higher self is obviously your third eye, so you're sitting behind, you're observing. So it's more, life is more about observing than it is practical.
I feel Buddhism is very much akin to any other religion. It's very subjective.
But they are the same. The
Yeah.
basis of what they're trying to say is the fact that, I mean, with India, they have a spot on their forehead, which is the third eye
of Shiva. Yeah.
Of Shiva, which is similar to Buddhism.
Yeah. Because Hinduism came first, and Buddhism came in a roundabout way. It kind of came out of Hinduism. So a lot of the traditions you find in Hinduism, you would find in Buddhism. I mean, in terms of a mindfulness practice, a lot of person-centered therapy is based on mindfulness, which is coming from Buddhism. In terms of let's be here and now in the present, and let's be mindful of what's going on in the present. So that comes from, ultimately, it comes from Buddhism. Yet, and another thing I'd say for Buddhism is the fact that suffering is caused by desire, which is true, because a lot of the time we desire things which we don't have, which cause suffering. I wish I had a mansion. I wish I had X amount of money. I wish I was going on holiday. So that desire, I want to be on holiday, but I'm not on holiday. So that's causing me discord or distress or dissonance. So that I can understand. And that makes sense to me personally. What I don't agree with Buddhism is it's telling you to kind of like turn off your conscience.
Conscience.
Yeah.
Not your self-conscious.
Your mind. It's telling. Buddhism basically says
so
like.
You don't agree with that?
No, because think about it.
It's like what I said to you. Like it's a pendulum. What we learned in when we did, because we went to a lighthouse retreat, and basically what he kind of sort of said is the ego is of course the most problems, because you're not constantly fighting your mind so much. You're not living in the here and now. You're not feeling the moment, and so you're more thinking the moment. Sorry, yeah, it's there. But it's kind of like it's more about adapting and accepting. But it's like that pendulum, like that. We all have intelligence. We always think about having intelligence. We do have intelligence, but we don't have to justify everything. It's more about feeling of the moment instead of justifying what's going on. I can't remember what you said that. I mean, it's more about attachment to stuff, isn't it? Intelligence doesn't mean not thinking. It just means you're feeling the moment. You kind of sort of you're in the moment instead of having thoughts going through your head 24/7 trying to justify everything. And that's where your ego comes in.
I feel with.
And that's true.
I forgot my train of thought, but.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No. That's no worries.
No worries. Tomorrow I'll be like, why did you do that?
I'll do a post.
How dare you?
Snoop Lioness said something else, and I want to address it.
Completely off track. I mean, her thoughts, her input, completely lost me off track.
I know what I was going to say, because ultimately, human beings are animals. At our core, we are animals. However, what separates us from all the other animals is our cognition. Physically, we're weak. You know, you see a cheetah. A cheetah will run for X amount of miles. It will take down the gazelle. A spider will make a web and catch a fly and eat the fly. Humans don't have that sort of physical endurance. But what humans have, which transcends what the rest of the animal kingdom have, is cognition. Humans are able to rationalize. We're able to think and use our cognitive abilities to overcome adversity. So when you get these, pardon me, when you get these yogis, for want of a better word, who say, "Oh, humans should turn off their cognitions. They should turn off their thought process. They should stop thinking." I look at it and think, well, actually, that thinking is what makes us human. So what makes us human, as far as I'm concerned. So I'd say no, don't turn off those cognitions. Don't turn off those thoughts. Because if you were to turn off those thoughts, you're turning off what makes us human. So embrace what makes us human. Embrace what separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom. And when you get fucking retards like fucking Mr. Turbinator, who says, debatable.
Yeah.
Essentially, what I'm saying,
Sorry.
it's our ability to analyze and rationalize thoughts, which separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom. We should embrace that. We shouldn't separate. We shouldn't shut it down. We should embrace it and say, yes, I'm able to look at a situation and analyze it from an analytical perspective. That's what makes us human. And we should embrace that. Embrace that aspect of humanity. We shouldn't turn it off. As fucking Mr. Turbinator, who's a weird person anyway. What would you say if Mr. Turbinator came up right now and said, "Oh, turn off your thoughts"? What would you say?
Terminator.
Mr. Turbinator. He's this Western champagne socialist who wears a green turban.
Turn off the thought.
Yeah, if he came up to you.
Alright. Okay, I'll just feel. I just feel the moment. I don't have to think about it.
I'm not asking you to agree with what I've just said, but do you appreciate what I've just said? We put food down for our cats, and the cats are like, gobble, gobble, gobble.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, put food down for a human, the human might be like, I want to gobble, gobble, gobble. But yeah, exactly. The only thing we've got separating us from the animal kingdom is that we as humans are able to rationalize.
True. I'm not going against that. That's where people try and put things in boxes and trying to rationalise how they're feeling, and then they try to say that they're bisexual or non-bisexual or non-binary. That's where the thinking is completely distorted sometimes. It's trying to rationalise how they're feeling. That's what I say. I think that kind of sense.
What if I gave you a big pizza in front of you, 20 slices, and you knew you're not having breakfast tomorrow? Would your rational mind not think, okay, I can eat 10 slices tonight and make sure that I'm satisfied tonight, but the other 10 slices can be tomorrow morning? That's where your rationale comes in.
It is, yeah. But it depends on how hungry I'm feeling.
Do you think a cat would be able to have that same sense of rationale, or do you think the cat would just be like, eat,
No,
eat, eat, eat?
they go on there feeling of hunger. If they're hungry, they're going to eat. They're not going to think about it. They don't have the same kind of rationale that we do.
Well, we don't. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that our strength physically in the animal kingdom, we're not on par with cheetahs and whales and sharks and dolphins and what have you. But what separates us is our ability to rationalize.
We rationalise things and we try to put labels on them.
That could be both positive and negative. But things, would you agree that things need to be labelled?
No.
Okay, so what's this? If you're not labelling it, this is
Yeah, but I can actually go a point like before, like people label themselves how they feel. So I could say, oh yeah, I'm non-binary because I'm not confused on what I am, like female or male. So I'm non-binary. I'm labelling myself.
Would an
Is
animal
that a
do
good
that?
thing?
Well, regardless, would an animal be able to do that? Would a
No, because
slug
an
do
animal is more animalistic, where we are with where we come from.
that? So would a slug be able to say, I'm non-binary?
They're an animal. They're, I don't know what they're. Insects?
Mollusks. Why are you laughing? It's true. It's a mollusk.
Okay.
Ah,
Learn.
okay.
But we tend to label things. That's why we try to. That's the understanding of our worlds.
Yeah. Admittedly, because we try to, if we label something, it gives it a name, which makes it easier to understand. Whether that's right or wrong. Oh my god.
No,
Oh,
even that's
what's this?
right. One of the toughest things I'd realised trying to decipher the human mind was how tough it was for us to eventually identify the cause and effect. Well, most people seem to believe that thoughts come before emotions. I had people told me that because I think that the gay is a sorry, I'm not gay. I think we were talking about because I think the guy is a jerk, therefore I feel unsafe around him. I discovered that thoughts tend to be the explanation of realization and expression of our emotions rather than the source or the cause of the emotions. There's so much like evidence. Going against all the teachings that you've had in your psychological degree.
Okay.
So, neurological research, the sensory input always goes through the emotional centers of the brain before it reaches the frontal cortex, the place for the rational thought. With that understanding, one must realize that it's actually physically impossible for the thought to come before the emotions. Our subconscious mind would often take out sensory input. Like I was saying about sensory input.
Why are you poking
I
me?
was just trying to make a point, literally. Where the unconscious will match it with similar previous memories to pull up the emotions associated with the input. Like this, certain events remind you of your mother or your wife or your girlfriend, or a photo triggers a memory or an event. This is all pulled out from your memory. Psychologists call this emotional linked memory or flashbulb memories, which I've learned actually. Emotions are memory systems' way of organizing information. When memories get solidified and saved into our unconscious, it is stored with the memories and patterns that we observe from those experiences. That is why it is easy to remember associated events when we feel a particular emotion. They basically say emotions come through.
Who quoted that?
Hang on. What's the name? Eastern 7 follow published. Yeah. I'm not the only person who thinks it.
I'm sure you're not the only person who thinks it.
It's like,
That's
a feeling, but it's going to your brain as a thought.
But it-
I've hoped
you differentiate between a physiological feeling and an emotional feeling. Physiological, yeah, fine. Physiological, you're like, what's that? But emotionally, it takes physiological to go to your
What do you
cognition.
feel when you when somebody's really hurt you? What comes to not
What,
comes to
emotionally or physiologically?
No. Emotion. Like if somebody really hurts, if somebody said a really good, like a really horrible thing about you, and it really hurts you, you don't think about it first. You feel it first. You feel the hurt that person is actually implicated into you. Then you think, oh, that person's hurt me.
I feel that you know who would have said that psychological studies.
It's not because you think about something that actually hurt you. It's you feel it first. Always about the feeling.
You know what? I'm thinking. Have you even had dinner tonight?
We haven't had dinner
We
tonight
haven't had
at all.
We really haven't, have we? Well, I've got a question for you. The final question for I think I'll end this live stream because it's been like over 2 hours.
What we've been talking about.
We've been talking about
no,
trauma and cognitions and CBT.
No, we've had a really good discussion, and I think that it is very enlightening. And I think that stands where we're thinking, oh, maybe we'll just invite
Snoop,
Lioness into the conversation because, like,
no,
I like a debate.
I feel as though maybe you should come into the live streams more, to be honest, because I mean, otherwise it's just an echo chamber of my voice. I feel that you should come in more. Plus, you're the sex candy as well, you know.
Sex candy?
Yeah, seriously. Like, Robert would love it because if Robert's watching later on, he'll be like, "Oh, there's a woman," and then like he can be like, "Oh my god." No,
I'm an intelligent woman. I do.
Which is very attractive. I mean, like Emily Willicott, people like that, you know, are better than people like Emma Butt.
Don't even say that word. Or name.
Name. What's wrong with Emma Butt? Look, we've got somebody else who's just come in. I can guarantee, person who's just come in, write something in the comment box.
Don't do that because you put pressure on them, and then
they run away.
Like, then they run
like
away.
A weirdo.
Like, they do. That's
they
your
do.
problem.
They do run away.
That's your problem.
Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
They do.
Write something in the comment box down below. Say, hi, my name
you're
is.
putting in like that limelight, and a lot of people don't like that.
Well, maybe you could be the exception. Hello, person who's just come into the live stream. Put your name down in the box
you
below.
Don't get like people that we watch like doing like live streams. They don't like
That's
passively
because
like attack.
they ran away.
And then they leave.
You
don't do that. It's like, oh my god, they're talking about me. I'm gonna go.
But what's it like? Oh my god!
You don't do that because like you're gonna lose people that way.
Oh, I don't know. I've got like over 600 subscribers, most of which don't even comment. Shame on you. You know, these are opportunities. In all seriousness, these are opportunities for you guys to kind of like get engaged.
Get engaged in our conversations.
Conversations.
And to trade your like thoughts and feelings. Come to me.
And you've got eye candy as well. I mean, look at this. Seriously.
Not good. I don't. But I'm modest. modest.
Yeah, I don't mind stripping off.
I'm not gonna strip off. I want to get paid more for that.
Yeah, I don't know about you. What is the time? It's like, oh fuck me! It's like 10 to 10.
We've been going for like
We've been
nearly
going for 2
hours.
hours.
Right, welcome to our minds.
Yeah,
Welcome to our life.
we don't have normal conversations. We just talk about.
We do. I mean, to be fair, I mean, it's just. I think this is a way of kind of understanding, trying to understand life, and we do have a humour to it, which is very important to our lots of feelings.
Thoughts, feelings, behaviours.
Feelings.
Follow the Aaron Beck model of CBT.
It's the feelings. You get that feeling first.
No, you get your thoughts first, which then lead on to feelings.
But
Which
you
then
don't.
you do.
You get that. Hurt. Oh, I've been hurt. Oh. I don't know. I'm struggling to understand the fact that you don't understand that.
Have you been struggling for the last few years to kind of understand my mindset of just how I compute life?
I think it's more down to feelings because you get hurt. Oh, been hurt. That's been lost.
Well, here's
But the thing is, though, it's something you like heartbreak. Oh, you feel that hurt, and then you think about it.
no heartbreak. You think about it, then
No,
you.
you don't.
Here's a question for you.
Don't you get hurt?
I've never been hurt in my life.
Oh God, yes, you have.
When?
Well, you did describe like the first person that you fell in love with that hurt you.
We just lost a person. We got scared. Anyway, here's a question to end on. Lance Boyle. Do you prefer him in Mega Race 1, 2, or 3?
What are we gonna do for dinner?
What are we going to do? I don't know. What are we going to do for dinner? I ordered us memosh last night. You had your rice and chicken, and
which is a healthy alternative to what you had.
No, I had seafood pizza.
Seafood, and then you eat.
I like seafood. It's healthy. Do you want to see some of the porn which I look at?
No, because if you do that, I'll show you mine.
That's fine. I don't mind watching old porn.
I don't want to talk about this to like our fellow members. Thank you very much.
Nobody's even fucking watching. Oh, one person. One person's. Do you want to see the porn which I watch?
No.
I wonder who it is. Oh, they've gone away. As soon as I mention porn, they're like, "Ooh, scary." I wonder if they're like an evangelical Christian. They're like, it's like, "Oh, porn's evil." You know, let me tell you something. Man is man, woman is woman. We both have biological urges. So if we're going to watch porn, would you rather us not watch porn and jack off both man style and woman style and be done with it there and then, as opposed to go out in society and do something illegal to the opposite member of sex?
Get a vibrator.
I mean, seriously, I would rather watch lesbians on computer, TV, whatever, jack off, ejaculate, and think, "Fuck, that was good." Then continue with my day.
You're not going to contract anything else.
And you're not going to contract anything. Or would you rather me go out into society and push a woman up against an innocent woman up against a wall and douchebag her?
That's rape, by the way.
Exactly. That is effing rape. So porn does have its place, and porn has a healthy place. And I believe it's naive to believe that all men don't watch porn, because it's like, you know, it's naive to believe that. And if you do, you're a jackass. Basically, you're a jackass from Mississippi who Lily Fern has stamped on your head and pushed it into the mud because Lily Fern will F you up big time style. Who do you prefer, Lily Fern or Emily Willicott?
Emily Willicott.
Emily Willicott. Okay, Google. Play songs by Dangerous Toys.
Check out this Dangerous Toys radio.
Yeah. Yeah, this song's about psychiatric disorders. Ironically, ending off our live stream, which is all about psychiatric disorders. I bet you don't know the difference between personality disorder and schizophrenia. Whoever it is who's just come into the live stream, leave your name and number down.
Stop! I keep saying to stop doing that because otherwise you're going to find all the people there.
I like doing that. I like scaring people away because that person who I've just commented has actually now just disappeared. They're like, "Ooh, Sam's talking to me." Yeah. When I was a kid in the early 90s, we listened to this kind of music. It used to come on the radio in Dubai FM. I hate my parents.
I think the host is trying, falling asleep. So I think we should end the live stream. Goodbye, and lovely to see you, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, it's been 2 hours and 13 minutes and 30 seconds.
I'm going to say goodbye. And
This is Snoop Lion. Hold.
Snoop Lion trying to take control.
No, Snoop Lion.
I'm going to control you.
Otherwise, I'm going to bring up like a thing about Lance Boyle, and I'm going to force you to watch Lance Boyle.
Right.
Do you know Lance Boyle?
Stop, because you're falling asleep. So
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Okay, well, maybe we should think about dinner. What do you want for dinner?
I don't know, but that's a personal.
Okay. As soon as we finish this live stream, we're going to talk about dinner.
Bye-bye.
Which is something you should be having. Dinner.
They probably had dinner and they're probably having a few drinks. So I mean, come on.
It depends whereabouts in the world they are. Because most of my subscribers are actually from America. Anyway, that being said, I'll leave you a question. Would you rather have a conversation with Emily Willicott or Emma Butt? And I'll leave you to contemplate that and get back to me, which you probably won't because you're assholes. Anyway, ciao for now, and see you in the next live stream.